Sarah Whitmore had always loved the smell of dust and leather. The rodeo wasn't just a sport, it was the place she felt most alive. Her horse, Jasper, pawed at the ground as they waited for their turn, the crowd roaring with excitement. Barrel racing was her world, and tonight she was ready to fly. But there was something else in the air. Something sharp. Something wrong. She'd found the first threat 2 days ago, a note tucked under Jasper's saddle. "You should quit before you get hurt." She brushed it off as a sick joke. But then came another, and another. She stopped telling people about them. She didn't want pity. She didn't want fear. She wanted to ride. Tonight, though, she wasn't alone. Daniel Creed, 5-time national bull riding champion, known for riding the rankest beasts and speaking in the fewest words, leaned against the rail, arms crossed over his broad chest. He looked carved out of quiet strength, sunburned resolve, and a lifetime of danger. Sarah had heard the rumors. He was intense, fearless, a man who survived a bull that had crushed 2 other riders. Now, he was also her bodyguard. "I don't need babysittin'," Sarah muttered as she tightened Jasper's cinch. Daniel didn't blink. "Wasn't askin' if you needed it." His deep, calm voice almost annoyed her. Almost. "I've handled worse," she argued. "Maybe, but not alone." She huffed, ready to snap back, but the announcer called her name. Instantly, her mind sharpened. The world narrowed to 3 barrels, and the open path between them. She mounted Jasper, feeling his muscles coil with anticipation. Daniel walked alongside her until the gate. "Eyes up," he murmured. "Don't let fear ride with you." She swallowed. "I'm not scared." He gave a faint smirk. "Good, then you'll be just fine." The gate flew open. Sarah and Jasper shot forward like lightning. Dust exploded around them as they weaved the pattern with perfect harmony. The crowd roared. Jasper moved like he knew every inch of the earth under his hooves. At barrel 3, they leaned so low, she felt the heat of the dirt. They crossed the finish line at a near-record time. Even from the arena, she saw Daniel watching her, not just scanning the crowd for danger, but looking at her like he was trying to understand the fire inside her. For the first time since the threats began, she felt safe, at least for now. Sarah didn't like being followed. She didn't like being watched, shadowed, guarded, or hovered over. Daniel Creed, unfortunately, was excellent at all of those things. As she brushed Jasper in the stables after her run, she noticed a new heaviness in the silence. Daniel was leaning against the stall door, arms folded, face unreadable. "You don't have to breathe down my neck," she said. "Not breathin' down anything," Daniel replied, without moving. "I'm right where I need to be." "Lucky me," she muttered. "Lucky you," he agreed. She shot him a glare, but his expression didn't change. It irritated her, how calm he was, how still, like a man carved from a tree that had seen 100 storms. Sarah set the brush down a little too forcefully. "Look, I get you're doing your job, but this is my life, my career. I can't have you looming behind me like some grim reaper. You'd prefer the person send in the threats do the looming." She opened her mouth, then closed it. Fine, he had a point. But still, Daniel finally moved, stepping inside the stall and lowering his voice. "I'm not trying to crowd you. I'm trying to keep you alive. You think I like watching someone's back while they run full speed on a half-ton animal? Trust me, I'd rather wrestle another bull." "You could always quit," she offered. He gave that almost smirk. Again, not an option. Their eyes held for a heartbeat longer than it should have. She hated that her pulse jumped just a little. Daniel's gaze softened unexpectedly. "You ride fierce. Braver than most men I know." "Are you trying to compliment me?" she asked. "No, just statin' facts." Her cheeks warmed great. Before she could reply, a sudden clatter echoed in the stable. They both turned sharply. A shadow moved at the far end before disappearing. Daniel reacted instantly, faster than she expected. He pushed Sarah gently behind him. "Stay here," he ordered, voice low steel. He strode forward, boots silent, shoulders tight. Sarah held her breath. Moments later, he returned, jaw clenched. "No person," he said. But someone was there. Her stomach nodded. Daniel stepped close, lowering his face to hers. "I'm not leaving your side," he said. "Not tonight. Not this tour. Not until we find the one who's threatening you." Part of her bristled, part of her was grateful, and another part won. She tried to ignore felt something warm unfurl at the center of her chest. Daniel Creed may have been assigned to protect her, but he was quickly becoming something she didn't know how to handle. The rodeo tour moved on to Amarillo, where the wind whipped through the fairgrounds like it had secrets to carry. Sarah rode well at the afternoon practice, but Daniel stayed glued to her side like a shadow with muscles. "I swear you've perfected the art of glaring at everyone," she teased. "Not everyone," he said. "Just the ones looking at you too long." Heat stirred in her chest. The man had no right saying something like that in that voice. She fed Jasper an apple, needing a distraction. "I can look after myself, you know." Daniel didn't argue, didn't roll his eyes, didn't smirk. "Instead," he said quietly, "I'm sure you can, but someone out there wants to hurt you, and I'm not letting that happen." His sincerity hit deeper than she expected. Later, as dusk settled, they headed to the riders' meeting. Sarah didn't notice the figure trailing behind them until Daniel suddenly shifted, stepping closer to her. "Someone's following," he murmured. Her heart jumped. "What?" "Don't look. Just keep walking." She obeyed, pulse pounding. Daniel's hand brushed her arm, steadying her. His touch sent an unexpected shiver up her spine. They rounded a corner. Daniel spun. "Hey," he barked, charging after the shadow. Sarah froze. The figure bolted. Daniel sprinted after them, boots pounding the dirt. He moved like a man who knew how to hunt danger. Sarah waited, breath held tight, until Daniel finally returned. "Whoever it is," he said, breathing hard, "they know their way around crowds." "What did you see?" "Hat, coat. Quick on their feet. Male, female. Hard to tell." Sarah rubbed her arms. "I hate this." Daniel stepped closer. "I know. No, I mean, someone wants to hurt me, and I don't even know why." Daniel's eyes softened. Evil doesn't always need a reason. Something in her chest ached. She whispered, "I'm scared, Daniel." For the first time, he reached for Hirschlow, deliberate, as if giving her time to pull away. His hand cupped her jaw, rough thumb brushing her cheek. "You're allowed to be scared," he said. "But you're not alone. Not while I'm here." Her breath hitched. He dropped his hand gently, but the warmth lingered. That night, Daniel insisted on staying outside her trailer. "I'm your guard," he said. "Here's where I belong." "Daniel, you don't have to." "I know." She didn't sleep much, listening for every sound, knowing he was right outside. But strangely, she felt safer than she had in weeks. Maybe too safe. Maybe dangerously safe. The next stop on the tour was Oklahoma City, where the crowd was loud and the tension thicker than dust after a stampede. Sarah tried to focus on her warm-up, but her nerves felt stretched thin. Every face in the stands looked like a stranger with secrets. Daniel stood nearby, eyes scanning every direction like a hawk looking for a snake. "You okay?" he asked. "I've had better days. You'll have better ones again." His confidence steadied her, and she mounted Jasper. Her ride was sharp and fast, but she couldn't enjoy it. Not with fear crawling across her spine. Afterward, she walked back to her trailer with Daniel beside her. She unlocked the door and froze. Inside, lying on her pillow, was a folded note. Daniel pushed past her, checking the space before handing it over. Her hands shook as she opened it. "Good run today. Hope it's not your last." Her stomach flipped. He was inside. "Inside my trailer." Daniel's jaw flexed. "I'm doubling security, and you're not staying here alone anymore." "I'm not hiding. This ain't hiding. This is surviving." His tone left no room for argument. Later that night, rain began pouring down. Daniel stationed himself outside her trailer again, hat pulled low. Sarah watched him through the window for a moment, guilt weighing on her. It was out there, in the cold, because of her. Against her better judgment, she stepped outside with a blanket. "You'll freeze." "I've been worse," he said. She draped the blanket over his shoulders anyway. "Let me help." He stared at her for a long moment, rain dripping from his lashes. Then, quietly, "Sarah, I'm not supposed to get close. I didn't ask you to. You don't have to. The words hung between them, thick and heavy. A truth neither wanted to name. Thunder cracked. Suddenly movement. A figure dashed between trucks. Daniel reacted instantly, grabbing Sarah and pulling her behind him. Get inside, he ordered. No, Danielle. He moved so fast, she barely processed it. He ran toward the shadows, disappearing behind the horse trailers. Sarah heard a shout, a scuffle, boots scraping metal. Daniel. He emerged. Seconds later, chest heaving. They got away, he growled. But we're getting close. Rain drenched both of them as they stood, breathing hard. Sarah stepped closer. Daniel, thank you. He looked at her like he was fighting something inside himself. I said I'd keep you safe. Lightning flashed in for a moment. She saw the truth in his eyes. He cared, more than he should, more than he was allowed. By the final stop of the tour in Cheyenne, Sarah's nerves were frayed to threads. Daniel barely left her side. The threats were getting bolder, the intruder braver. The last night arrived. Sarah was preparing for her final run when Daniel approached her, expression tight. We're close, he said. I can feel it. Whoever's after you will try something tonight. Then we catch him. No, I catch him. You ride, Daniel. Sarah, you were born for that arena. Don't let fear steal it from you. She swallowed her doubts and walked toward the gate. Daniel shadowed her until the last second. Ride smart, he said softly. Come back to me. Her breath caught, but she didn't have time to answer. The gate swung open. She flew. Jasper tore through the pattern like he was chasing lightning itself. The roar of the crowd filled her ears, but another sound cut through the noise. A snap, a pop, then chaos. The stands near Barrel 2 erupted in screams. A figure shoved through the crowd, sprinting across the arena toward her. Daniel was there in seconds. Sarah, off the horse. She slid down as Daniel lunged at the attacker, a man with wild eyes and a knife glinting in the sun. The man swung. Daniel dodged and tackled him hard into the dirt. Rodeo security piled on seconds later. When the man was restrained, Daniel hurried to Sarah. You okay? He demanded, hands on her shoulders, eyes blazing. Yes. Daniel, you saved. Her words were cut off when he pulled her into his chest. I thought I lost you, he whispered into her hair. Shock froze her. Then warmth melted through her, like sunlight after winter. She pulled back just enough to see his face. Rain wasn't falling tonight, but his lashes were damp only this time, with emotion. You didn't lose me, she whispered. You never will. Something in him broke, something quiet and private and deeply guarded, and he kissed her, a slow, fierce, relieved kiss, like he'd been holding it back for far too long. She melted into him, gripping his vest as cheers erupted from the stands. When they finally broke apart, Daniel rested his forehead against hers. I wasn't supposed to fall for you, he breathed. Too late, she replied. He smiled, truly smiled for the first time. Guess I'm your bodyguard forever then. I'll take that deal. Hand in hand, they walked out of the arena, together, safe, whole, and finally free. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more Western stories.